I changed the date of my wedding because my sister was going on vacation. After that, she got pregnant and asked me to move it again. When I said no, she said she'd move her wedding right away. It's kind of strange where I am right now. The person I'm going to marry and I don't like following the rules, so we wanted our wedding to be more like a family trip, with a wedding plus. We chose to have our wedding at my parents' beautiful lakefront home. I wanted the wedding to be on June 26th when we were first making plans and choosing dates. My fiancé and I met on the 26th, so that day was important to us. But when I told my family about it, my sister said no because she already had a trip planned for that day. So we chose June 4th to June 9th. I was sad, but it wasn't the end of the world. Since everything was going so well, I told both families to save the date for our wedding and began planning the details. Everything was great until last night. My dad called me on FaceTime and showed me the scan. I was so happy. Many thanks for the compliments. I'm excited because I'm going to be an aunt. I'm really happy for them and my new sister or nephew. But everything fell apart when I asked my sister when she was due and she said May 1st. I thought she just meant she wouldn't be able to make it to the wedding. I told them it was fine, we could just FaceTime them in, and she was shocked. My mom then said we could just move it to September. I knew my feelings would get the best of me, so I told them we could talk about it later. Then we celebrated and thought of names for the baby. I had a little cry after the call. I'm not going to lie. That was the only time I had to change my plans to make room for my sister, and it was fine. I didn't complain. We've been planning our wedding around this date for 7 months, and so has my fiancé's family. I don't want to change it now. They will insult my choice not to move it, which is sad because I know my family will push me to do so. I know it will be hard to travel with a new baby, which is why I offer to FaceTime her in. But they seem to think it's rude that they don't want my sister to be at the wedding. I feel so bad that I'm upset that I had to change the dates of my wedding because my sister is pregnant. Although she is adding a lovely new member to our family, I'm still sad because I know that if I don't change the wedding date, my family will think I'm rude and disrespectful. So am I a jerk because I don't want to cancel my wedding because my sister is pregnant? As up answered in the comments, I'd move it back to the 26th because that's the day you and your fiancé care about. She'll only want to go if she can bring the baby, or she'll probably try to get you to move the date even further back, saying that she can't travel with a newborn. People will be upset no matter what you do or don't do, but once you're married, what you both want should be the only thing that matters. We don't know if she'll have PPD or PPA or if the baby will have colic because she's going to be a first-time mom. This makes me very scared. I'm afraid that if I move our wedding to August or September and she still can't make it or wants us to move it even further back, I will get angry at her and pull away from her. I love my sister very much, but she is very set in her ways, and my parents just go along with it because that's how she is. Why is our sister the star child? Please don't say it out loud. My sister is the best child in the family. This isn't a secret or something to hide. She spends a lot of time with her family and goes to see them every weekend. Since I live across the country, I only get to see them once a year, but I FaceTime them often. They also care a lot about money, and my sister is a doctor while my brother and I work in trades. In every way, she's the ideal child. She also plans all of my family's trips, vacations, and other activities because she's very type A and likes to be in charge. It's hard for her to give up on things the way she wants them. For ease of mind, we've always done what they say. It turns out that my wedding wasn't in the line after all. Tell her, NTA, to tell the family that their desire to change the dates affects more than just your family, and that those dates are the only ones that work for everyone. Then tell them that you won't change the dates again to make room for your sister, because you already did that. I see. I'll talk to them about it soon and make my date stick to my plans. After hearing the news that they are going to be grandparents for the first time, I wanted to give my parents some time to calm down. They seem to want to protect and support her. My brother and I also talked about it, and he agrees with me. When we talked, I asked him to be there to try to explain things from my point of view, in case my feelings got the best of me. It's not possible to move my wedding to September, because my fiancé's family already has plans made around the current date and can't change them. That's all for now. A lot has happened in the last few days. The day after I wrote my post, I called my brother. He knew why I was upset and told me I should not change my wedding date at all. We planned when to talk to my mom about not wanting to change my fiancé and I's wedding date so we could be there to talk to my mom on my behalf because I was afraid of being talked down to. But my feelings got the best of me. That didn't happen the next day. My mom called to talk about it. When I told her I wasn't going to change my wedding date, she was angry at first but surprisingly open to it. I was really happy about that until she said, "You need to talk to your sister about this because she's not going to be happy about being forced out 1 month after giving birth." I told her I wasn't expecting her to be there, but she insisted she had to. Then my mom said no. Even though she just had a baby, she would still come to your wedding. After that, my mom and I had a little fight because she was making my sister do something that wasn't good for her or her future family. I ended up hanging up on her because I don't like it when people talk to me rudely. I will tell them to think about their tone and call me back in a minute. Also, she told me during the call that she was very upset that I went to my brother for help instead of her, and that I was making family problems for no reason. That being said, I needed a family point of view, which is why I called my brother. I finally tried to call my sister the next day, but she didn't answer. So I texted her to let her know that I wasn't going to change my wedding plans. It was a much longer text that explained my feelings and reasons. She replied the next day, "You and I both know that your wedding dates aren't set in stone yet. The only thing left to do is tell your fiancé's family about the change. I hope the trouble is worth having your real sister or nephew and me there." I told them that I had already ordered and paid for a few things, and that my fiancé had been family planning and making plans for this date for 7 months. She didn't care what I thought and said there were really no reasons. You could change the date to include me, even if it was just a little later in the summer. But you're not going to. It hurts. Which I replied that I wasn't against having her at my wedding, but I knew she might not be able to make it, and that we would have to FaceTime instead. Also, tell her that I've already changed my wedding date once to make room for her. I asked her to imagine how she would have felt if I had asked her to delay her wedding. That's when I told her I would have moved my date right away. That's what makes us different. At that point, I chose to offer to move it to June 26th because some comments said I should check to see if she was still going on her planned vacation. Which I'm glad I did because she told me she couldn't do the 26th because she still had to take her holiday 20 days after my wedding. 1 month old and 1.5 month old babies are pretty much the same when it comes to flying. I don't know much about babies because I don't have one and have only met my best friend's baby. That made it clear to me that she doesn't care about me, my fiancé, or our feelings. But she still wants everyone to fit her needs. My fiancé told me to put it in the effort box, so I'm not going to worry about it anymore since the date is set. It would be great if my family could come to my wedding, but I won't be upset if they can't. In the end, this will only teach me who to put first in my life as family, since family isn't always blood. Update 2. Okay, this update makes me laugh so hard. Like I said in my last update, I was strong and told my family that I was still going to get married. That did not go well, but at least my parents were behind me. For the most part, everything was calm and easy. Since then, my sister and I haven't talked, but I thought she was just mad at me and dealing with everything that comes with being pregnant. Now we get to the funny part of this news. Someone showed us 2 positive pregnancy tests on FaceTime 2 days ago. It was my fiancé's sister-in-law. That's when our wedding is, since she's due the first week of June. That's when I told everyone how happy and proud I was because it was our first grandchild and baby. My fiancé and I just looked at each other and laughed out loud after the call. In the month leading up to or during our wedding, both my sister and his sister-in-law are having their first grandchildren. How likely is it? I think my fiancé and I have always had trouble planning things, which is why we chose a simple, laid-back wedding over a big, fancy one. There was a short conversation, and we both agreed on. "Fuck this," I said to my money, "let's just run away." Right now, that's what we're doing. As I already said, we're not traditional, and all of this was really just for our families to feel like they were a part of the lake house fun. But there are so many babies and 9 of the 14 people invited can't make it. This includes my sister and Bill, her Mill and Bill, my fiancé's parents, mom and little sister, and his brother and Sil. So why even have the wedding? We're going to the church on June 26th, which is the date I wanted at first but couldn't get, because my sister was taking time off to get married. There is a deposit on a photographer that we want to keep. We will just switch from wedding pictures to a couple shoot. Another thing we still want to do is go to the lake house before our vacation. We already told everyone in our family that the wedding is off. His side is sad that they won't be able to celebrate us as a couple, while my side is happy, but the world didn't want that to happen. We'll plan something in the next couple of years to celebrate with our families. Maybe on one of our wedding days. I can't even be mad about the fact that the big event we were planning doesn't work out because everyone is pregnant and due around or during our wedding. It's so funny. But in the end, we're getting married and having some cute little cousins or nephews. Now that there is no more wedding, there will be no more trouble. Where Op responded, "Commenter, I understand why his brother and sister-in-law can't come, but why can't the rest of your fiancé's family? Anyway, good job. Because a big wedding is too much work for me, I told my boyfriend I'd always be down to elope. It didn't work out the way I thought it would because there were still 4 extra people at the wedding along with our immediate family. Still a lot of trouble. So eloping is clearly the best choice, lol. The only people who can't come are my sister and her husband. They're having their first child in May, and it would take them 5 hours to drive to the lake house. my sister, mother-in-law, and brother-in-law. We became friendly with them while on a week-long trip to Jamaica for my sister's wedding. Then, my soon-to-be husband Bill and Sil, since they are having a baby during the time we used to be married. His parents, brother and sister, would want to be close to Bill and Sil while she's having her first child. The lake house is about a 19-hour drive from where they live, commenter. When both of the kids turn one, have a party at the lake house. Yes, that's what we understand. We clearly learned our lesson about making plans ahead of time. I do think, though, that a party for both the wedding and the 2 one-year-olds would be very cute. Next story, I finally started taking care of myself after getting divorced from a cheating husband when I was 53. But my angry adult children say I should have done it when it mattered. Hello everyone. Larry, my ex-husband, is 54 years old and I am 53F. We got split 6 years ago. We met in college when we were both studying electrical engineering. Our 2 grown children are Steve, who is 27 years old, and Carla, who is 25 years old. I thought it didn't matter that we were both nerdy and looked the part. We were really into each other. After college, we got married right away and both worked as engineers for a while. But after a while, Larry decided he wanted to go to law school to become a patent lawyer. Larry went through a big makeover at this time too. Looked more like a lawyer. He got tailored clothes, a fancy haircut, designer accessories like watches, and he worked out to get rid of his dad body and get a lean gym body. During this time, I was raising our young children and taking care of about 95% of the housework. Because he worked long hours, I was also working full-time. I have to say that I didn't glow up like Larry did. Personally, I've always had a more simple look. I'm not overweight, but I am a bit stocky. I'm 5 feet 5 inches tall and weigh 140 pounds. I have glasses, short hair, and wear simple clothes with little makeup. Larry loved me just the way I was for the first 10 years of our relationship. But after he became a lawyer, he started to like more conventionally beautiful women and had several affairs. He told me that the problems were not things I could fix with an easy makeover, but things like my big nose and flat stomach after giving birth. Carla was riding her bike when she was hit by a car. I was getting ready to ask for a divorce. She lived and is fine now, but she had to go through a lot of surgery and rehab over a few years. Larry and I decided to stay married and be as nice as possible so that Carla and support. And for those who gave more negative comments, just wanted to let you know that I agree that my adult children, Steve 27M and Carla 25F, have been very rude and critical. I'm not ready to write them off, to say the least. I noticed that I've been very defensive and rude since they started criticizing me a few years ago when I started changing how I looked. That might be fair, but I still want to do everything I can to keep a good bond with my kids. After some thought, I chose to listen with an open mind. I'm not going to change my look to please them, of course not. What this means is that I'm willing to listen to what is bothering them, so that we can hopefully work it out. They both decided to have brunch with me this coming weekend when I asked them to, which is a good start. The talk might not make a difference, but I'll always feel bad that I didn't try, and it's free to listen. A lot of the people who commented thought that my first post must have been missing some information. I believed I covered all the important points, but can give you a little more information here. Things were great between me and my ex-husband Larry for about the first 10 years of our relationship, or so I thought. As I said, we met in college when we were both electrical engineering students. By today's standards, we both looked pretty plain and out of style. As a nerdy woman, I've always been much more interested in nerdy-looking guys than in super polished ones. I guess it's because they're a better match for me. From the start, Larry seemed crazy about me, and I felt the same way. We both got good engineering jobs after college, bought a house, and started a family. We lived in a warm and loving home with lots of valuable time together, and we often had DD and anime nights with our nerdy friends. After that, Larry chose to attend law school. For the first couple of years, not much changed. But when it came time to start looking for lawyer jobs, the law school career counselors told him to clean up his look. That's how his own glow-up started. During his first few years as an associate at a law firm, he still joked about his new look as his silly lawyer outfit and looked forward to coming over to change into his anime t-shirts. I didn't try to match his new look because he never asked me to, and at first it looked like it was just a standard outfit for him that made him feel weird. All of that changed quickly though, one night when I was meant to go with him to an awards dinner for his company, being aware that it was fancy and that I wasn't very good at fashion, etc. I actually paid someone to do my hair and makeup, and I worked with a personal shopper to find a dress and shoes that I thought would look good on me and be acceptable for the event. But when Larry saw me in this outfit, he got very angry. He called me names like lipstick on a pig and made fun of my nose and post-baby pooch. Not long after that, I found out that he had started seeing a coworker with a small, pert nose and a flat stomach. It didn't matter how mean he was, I still thought we could work through this with therapy. But he didn't want to. I will say that I was frozen for a while because I didn't want to do anything hasty because of what would happen to the kids. Looking back, I think I could have made better choices. But by the time I was emotionally and practically ready to move forward with the divorce, Carla had her accident, and I had to change my plans to focus on her healing. Also, some commenters thought that my post-divorce glow-up had something to do with wanting to meet new guys, but it didn't. The event started when they were given the chance at work to do more public client-facing tasks. And my boss told me in a nice way that it was a good time to change how I look, which is why I got a new haircut, clothes, makeup, nails, etc. Also, my A1C started going up a little after I turned 50, because diabetes runs in my family. Although at 140 lbs I wasn't medically overweight, my doctor advised that losing just a few pounds, coupled with some dietary tweaks and changing up my exercise routine, would be a good idea, so I added yoga, Pilates and strength training to the hiking and cycling I already did, and ended up losing about 15 pounds over the course of a year. I'd always been physically active. Despite some commenters accusing me of being lazy, I just wasn't focused on sculpting my body to look a certain way as opposed to general fitness. Once I slimmed down and updated my look, I did find myself getting a lot more attention from men. So I figured since I'd been single for a few years, I might as well lean into it and start dating. But again, that wasn't the initial reason. Some commenters asked if I'd spent family money on my makeover, and if that might be what was making my children upset. The answer to that is no. Larry and I divided our assets in the divorce. He got the big house we had lived in and paid me for my share, which allowed me to buy a much smaller house and have plenty left. Although as a law firm partner, he makes about 10x what I do. I did not request any alimony beyond my 50% of our assets, which had all been accumulated during the marriage. Anyway, if folks are interested, I can post an additional update next week, once I can talk to my children and find out more about what their issue is. Steve could see us as a team. At this point, he was still seeing other women, but I gave up trying to get him to be loyal. After Carla went to college, we did split up and get a divorce. Larry is now married to 33F, a much younger woman. I've chosen to pay more attention to myself, including how I look, over the past couple of years. Now that my kids are grown and living on their own, I don't have to think about how to deal with a difficult husband. Now that I have the time and money, I can finally do it. Larry had wanted me to get a nose job or some other kind of plastic surgery. I didn't, but I did change the color of my hair, work out more, lose about 15 pounds, get a new outfit, and start dating. I don't have a stable partner yet, but I go on dates and to events for single people my age every week. The bad news is that my kids hate the new me. They blame me for the divorce and are mad that I didn't shine up to help Larry. They say I was selfish and lazy to do what was right when it counted. Steve, my son, is getting married soon, but he doesn't want to ask me because he's mad. Carla has stopped getting in touch with me. Before I started my own glow-up process a few years ago, I had great relationships with both of them. This was after Larry and I finalized our split. Steve and Carla told me that the only fair way to fix this is to go back to how I was before. This means I need to stop coloring my hair, dress the way I did before, plain and ugly, and stop dating. They tell me it's not fair that I'm looking for a new partner and that they are most upset about their dates. So AITA, for everything I've done here, I shouldn't have worked on my looks until after I got divorced? No matter how tangled up I got, I don't think Larry would have been loyal to me. I think I did the best I could with the time and energy I had. It may sound selfish, but I think I deserve to have my own life now. But if you think I've done something wrong, please let me know. I see things differently than you do, but I think the conclusions you've drawn may not be fair. First, when did I say I didn't have sex drive? During the first 10 years of our relationship, even after having 2 kids, we had great sex. He only stopped feeling that way when he realized he liked other types of women, and as he moved up in his law company. Next, where did I say I didn't take care of my appearance? I did, in fact, keep up the way I looked since college. I told you that we were both weird. Even after having kids, I kept a healthy weight and always looked clean and right for the event. My engineering job and family duties happened to be the events in question. My hair wasn't cut very well, I didn't wear expensive clothes, etc. Was I looking a little old? Most likely, compared to a lawyer from a big company who gets a $500 haircut and regular spa treatments. But I didn't let myself go by, making bad changes to how I looked after I got married. I also don't think it's fair to say that I didn't get better in any way while we were married. I made a lot of progress in my work while keeping our home warm and loving, cooking healthy meals, and raising our kids in other ways. Those things were most important to me, especially after Carla's accident. Maybe I didn't deserve what I got because I didn't want painful and time-consuming plastic surgery. Even more so since he really wanted me to get a nose job even though I was happy with the way mine looked. If only he had offered a few small changes. If you had brought up the idea of getting a gym membership or changing my hairstyle and clothing in a nice way and given me time to do these things, I probably would have been more open to it. But he had already set such a high bar with surgery that I didn't think I could make him happy. Update first, I want to thank everyone who replied to my first post. I tried to respond to all of you at first, but when the number of replies reached thousands, I couldn't keep up. I'm so sorry. Thank you for your time and thoughts. I did read everything. Both for those who gave